An investigation is underway after a woman escaped managed isolation through a fire escape while security guards were, quote, elsewhere. The woman, who arrived in New Zealand on a flight from Dubai on Wednesday, October the 7th, was caught at 1 a.m. this morning trying to skip out of the Grand Millenium hotel in Auckland. It was then revealed she'd successfully broken out the night before and spent about 2 hours wandering around the city. The woman tested negative this morning for COVID-19. Joining me now is the head of MIQ, Air Commodore Darryn Webb. Good evening. Can you tell us exactly how she managed to get out?
Oh, good evening, Lisa. Well, police investigations are still ongoing, and as are our own. But what we know at the moment is she has escaped through a fire exit, gone through fire exit corridors within the facility, and departed out the back through a loading dock area.
So there were no alarms and no security on those doors?
No, so these are fire exits. Of course, they are there for a specific purpose, and those doors weren't alarmed. And we have a physical security presence on site there, of course. Those security personnel were in a roving patrol mode rather than observing that security door. And our establishment with the hotel in particular has established that those security staff should have been observing that door at that time. They were directed by the local team leader to be on a roving mode, and we see that that's an oversight. It's not good enough. We've ensured that their expectations have been addressed to understand that is a particular area they need to keep eyes on, and we've resolved that immediately. And the system worked effectively the very next night, of course, where they were in position and they observed her trying to escape again.
That's not an oversight, is it? It's a failure.
Oh, I would just say this is a human error. These mistakes can happen. People on site are doing the best they can, and I'm extremely proud of every single staff member in our facilities. We've had nearly 60,000 people through managed isolation and quarantine, and a very small number have done the wrong thing. In this instance, a woman has intentionally escaped. She has
I do understand that, Air Commodore, but the situation you have here is experience would lead you to do things differently so it doesn't happen again. So is it an instruction to security that all exits must be monitored at all times, either by alarm or by personnel?
That's right.
So they failed to do what is a basic requirement.
Yeah, as I said, Lisa, this is an instance where someone has made a mistake. This is a local on-site management function which we've cleared up very quickly. We understand that if people determine a mode of security to be the way they see it in terms of a roving mode rather than a stationary mode, in this instance that was the incorrect assumption, and we've been extremely swift in our assessment to say that was not right. We've contacted every other facility, Lisa, and confirmed that those practices are not taking place anywhere else, and we've taken immediate steps to make sure that the team on site know what their roles are.
So when you say it was an on-site team, let's be clear here. Who gave the instruction? Was it a private security company or was it Defence who were overseeing the movements of those security guards?
This was a private security team leader.
Okay, and the guards themselves, they were private security?
That's right.
So you're still using some private security at these facilities?
Yeah, we have some, and we know we have a phased-out approach here, and that continues.
So are you going to phase these guys out faster than you had anticipated, given what has happened?
We'll continue to negotiate through this process. At this stage, that's on track for third-party private security to be phased out by the end of the year.
Okay, so are they still on site? Do they still have the contract right now? Or have you got more of your own people there as a consequence of this?
They are still on site. The individual concerned has been stood down, and we have ensured that everybody else in that team is completely aware of the appropriate procedures to be carried out.
Okay, so the woman herself, she gets caught taking a second run at it, and you find out that she's actually managed to get out the night before. What's she been up to?
Well, that's an ongoing police investigation. These things are extremely serious and very frustrating, but we have worked closely with the New Zealand Police and the Auckland Regional Public Health Service to determine what public health risk she poses. We do have some CCTV footage to hand where we have established she's been in and around the Auckland City region, but we just want to be absolutely certain before.
Can you be more specific about that? What do you know about her movements? Where did she go? It's just over 2 hours, isn't it? So what was she filling her time with?
We've seen that she's been walking in and around the inner city area, and beyond that, we'll just continue to confirm through police investigations.
And from what you can see and know, what interactions did she have with other people?
What we see and we know is very few, very limited, and so that's always encouraging. We know that she tested negative this morning, and she is asymptomatic, so we're confirming that it's likely that it's a low-risk scenario.
Would this have been day 3 of her stay?
Day 3 is tomorrow.
Is tomorrow. Okay, so she's
That's
very
right.
early on, isn't she?
Yeah,
and we
she
know that more infections tend to show up later in managed isolation, don't they? So we're not out of the woods yet with this woman.
No, quite right. And so we will be doing a normal day 3 test again tomorrow, and we'll be, if necessary, conducting further tests.
If she hadn't tried to do a runner on the second day, you would be blissfully unaware of this, wouldn't you?
Potentially. Again, I would say that these are hotels, not prisons, Lisa. I mean, we have a great mix of personnel and systems in place. But if somebody is motivated and determined to escape, then sometimes these things happen. I'll come back to the point that nearly 60,000 people have done the right thing and kept this country safe.
So did she leave the hotel at any other time? Are you sure that these are the only 2 incidents?
Yeah, she's only been here a short time, and we did do a reversal footage scan of the CCTV and can confirm that that was the only time.
Okay, so what's happening with her now? Besides the fact that she's going to be tested again, is this a matter where she's going to be charged?
That's certainly a matter for the police to determine, and we'll leave that to them.
Okay, so you still have private security at this hotel, and you've got a phase-out date. What about your other facilities? Because when you look at it, it looks like they're not up to scratch.
Oh, I disagree. I think they're fantastic facilities. We, as I said, we were...
The security I'm talking about here.
Yeah, no, we contacted every single facility, and I wanted to determine for myself that there were no other procedures where we knew we needed to be monitoring systems indoors, and we have confirmed that that is the case.
So how many other days, Air Commodore, did you ask on how many other occasions have the fire doors been left unattended while people have gone on roving patrols?
What we wanted to do was make sure that those other security staff are aware of their obligations to observe those fire exit doors, and we've established that that is the case. People know.
But you don't know. Systems. You don't know how many other occasions that this has happened.
Well, I know that there are no other occasions this has happened to our knowledge. What I'm trying to explain to you, Lisa, is that we do have systems where those security forces are aware that they need to monitor, and that's exactly what they're doing.
Not another escape I'm talking about. I'm talking about whether you've spoken to the security guards about how often they leave those doors and have been leaving those doors unattended. Do you have a feel for that?
If you're talking about this location, we have spoken to the team leader and confirmed that practice is not appropriate. But across the entire portfolio of 31 other facilities, we've confirmed that those practices do not occur.
Okay. At this particular hotel, I understand that you've spoken to the head of security and they are now clear that this should not happen. But how many times have they left doors unattended that they should have been watching?
I don't have that detail to hand, Lisa.
Have they been asked if this was a common reoccurring practice?
What we have is a range of team members on site. We do have staff changes, and what I'm looking at here is an individual who's made a local determination for a particular evening. That, unfortunately, was an evening where somebody decided to willfully leave that location, and we caught it with our systems the very next night.
Appreciate your time this evening. That is the head of Managed Isolation and Quarantine, Air Commodore Darryn Webb.